everyone, it's Holmes from Home Storybooks, and it's time to show you one of my favorite videos, a library book haul. Doing these videos makes me super excited to read all of my library books, which is good, considering some of them have to go back in like 10 days, but it's fine. This is fine. Let's get into the books. The first one I have to show you is Lotus Palace by Jeannie Lin. It's a wonderful mass market paperback about a young woman called Yu Ying, who's street smart, practical, and happy with her place in the world until she meets aristocratic playboy Bai Huang. What I love about Lin's books is they don't subscribe to the usual rigmarole of toxic masculinity. I read Lin's My Fair Concubine, which is a title that always makes my wife crack up laughing. But it is about a young woman who falls in love with a man above her station. Fei Long Chang, the hero, is masculine without being chauvinistic. He is respectful, warm, courteous, and even a little shy, and for once, the drama isn't centered around heteronormative jealousies in relationships. Thank God for Jeannie Lin and her efforts, because they single-handedly saved the romance genre for me. Lotus Palace also has a murder mystery as well, so I'm hoping the main characters are tested by that aspect of the plot, rather than contrived "you looked at another man" kind of drama. The next book is Don't Look Now by Daphne du Maurier, and it is a short story collection. I love du Maurier's writing. Her book Rebecca is probably up there with one of my favorite books of all time. I've also read and loved The House on the Strand by her and The Scapegoat, which is not as good but still compulsively readable. The first story, the titular story, starts with the words "Don't Look Now," and actually features some drag queens or trans characters. They're twins and their depiction is not the best, but the fact that this collection was published in 1971 with queer characters on the first story on the front page means a lot. Daphne was queer herself and often included homoerotic or queer references in her works. I also feel like the two main characters of the story observing these drag queens are fucking awful people, so I'm curious to see where this goes, but man, what a way to start. Another short story collection, Sucker's Portfolio by Kurt Vonnegut. This is a small collection in Vonnegut's signature dark, sardonic voice. He writes a lot about humanity through satire and science fiction. His science fiction has its own particular flavor. It's not too heavy and always speaks to how flawed humans are. I loved his collection Welcome to the Monkey House, which was sad and cheeky and hopeful. Often with his short story collections, I don't know if a story will end happily or sadly until the end paragraph. Vonnegut is a great palate cleanser of an author for me, so I have to pick this up. Blue Boy by Rakesh Satyal is a young adult book about a young boy called Kiran Sharma, who is Indian and lives in Cincinnati in the 1990s. I'm buddy reading this with my friend Anya, and I'm really excited for the themes about migration and queerness and belonging. I read Satyal's No One Can Pronounce Your Name this time last year, and his warmth and generosity comes through the text so easily, so it's a perfect spring-summer read. This next book is one of my most anticipated reads of 2018, and it is Johnny Appleseed by Joshua Whitehead. Whitehead is an OG Cree First Nations person from the Pequot First Nation, and he identifies as queer. I mentioned this book in a video about the publisher, Arsenal Pulp Press, which I will link down below. Johnny Appleseed is about a young queer Indigenous man who goes back home to his reservation after a family tragedy. It's going to be messy, dramatic, uplifting, and my queer heart is ready. Whitehead apparently loves reading some of the more sexually explicit scenes in readings, and just like, this will be incredible. I love that Whitehead consciously claims space as a queer First Nations man, and I can't imagine the power you get from reading a queer scene to a room full of people. I'm predicting it'll be one of my favorite reads of this year. Beauty and Sadness by Yasunari Kawabata is a Nobel Prize winning book about a fraught relationship between an aging writer and his protege and lover. I've read 1,000 Cranes by Kawabata, and he is just a master of tension. I don't know how he does it, but there can be two characters sitting down to have tea, and suddenly, over the steam and smell of unfurling jasmine leaves, empires are crushed, hearts are broken, dreams are shattered. All the while, these two characters are just having the most polite small talk. It's insane. I don't think his writing will be for everyone, but I love it, and it's been a long time since I've read any of his work. The Lesser Blessed by Richard Van Kemp is about a young man called Larry who comes from Fort Smith and his Dog Rib Nation. Larry has a crush on someone, is in love with Iron Maiden, and welcomes a newcomer, Johnny Beck, a Métis from Hay River, into his life. Van Camp himself comes from the Dog Rib Nation, so I feel like this First Nations coming-of-age story will be really melancholy and sweet and so well written because Van Camp is clearly writing what he knows. A Good Man is Hard to Find and Other Stories by Flannery O'Connor. This short story collection, so many short story collections and so much non-fiction today, classic Southern Gothic, and I've only heard good things. It is number 1 on my Goodreads to read list, which is kinda 100% of the motivation for picking it up and reading it. Val from Val Reads did let me know that there was a very racist story about halfway through, so I will either just avoid that entirely or just skim read it. I won't tell you the title of the story because if you look in the contents page, you'll know. Regardless, I'll try it and see what I think. Get ready for the cover of this next book. Are you ready? Okay. Look at it. Isn't it gorgeous? This is Christopher and His Kind, 1929-1939 by Christopher Isherwood, and it is about how he left England to explore his sexuality. He comes to Germany to explore the gay bars, but also to live in Magnus Hirschfeld's Institute for Sexual Research for a time. Hirschfeld was a queer German Jew, and he pioneered this institute and many other organizations like the Scientific Humanitarian Committee. Hirschfeld collected 20,000 texts, surveys, social histories, and over 35,000 photographs of queer patients or people who visited this center. It was one of the first advocate centers for LGBTIQA rights. Isherwood lived on the top floor, I think, for a time before he fled Germany to America after his partner, Heinz Neddermeyer, was taken by the Gestapo. Hirschfeld's work was all burned in a giant bonfire, including a bust of himself, so we have lost everything from that time. It's heartbreaking to think about because his research was really revolutionary. However, when the director was given by Himmler, one of Hitler's almost inner circle, to locate, arrest, and send people to concentration camps, all of Hirschfeld's research was already in ashes. If it had persisted, the Gestapo would have had an easier time delousing Berlin and its surrounds, to borrow the term of the time. I feel sad because, as valuable as Hirschfeld's research would have been, the fact that it was already gone afforded LGBTIQA people of the time to survive. Isherwood went on to write over 20 books, and though we've lost all of Hirschfeld's work, we do have Isherwood's. I suspect it won't all be about the institution, of course, but regardless, this memoir will really help my historical fiction novel that I'm writing, which focuses on 2 queer men during the 1930s and 40s in Brooklyn. Random aside, but I have to rename one of the main characters, and it is such a pain. Okay, moving on. The next book in my huge pile is Afrofuturism, The World of Black Sci-Fi and Fantasy Culture by Ytasha L. Womack, published by Lawrence Hill Books, which focuses on publishing quality nonfiction for an African American audience. Womack and its collection of essays about Afrofuturism. Some of the titles of this essay are The Divine Feminine in Space, Project Imagination, and Clocks for Time Travelers, so this looks awesome. Also, the chapters are really short and there's lots of headings, and I love reading and feeling like you're just speeding through a book. The next book on this pile is one I'm a little uncertain about, and it is Brick Lane by Monica Ali. This is one of the Feminist Orchestra Book Club upcoming reads. This is about a Bangladeshi woman who moves to England and has an affair with a radical man. It is like 400 plus pages, and I really want to get into it, but I just feel so shy about it. The Kingdom of Women by Chu Wai Hong is about the author quitting her job as a corporate lawyer in Singapore and going deep into the mountains of China to live with a small tribe of Chinese women. These women are some of the last surviving matrilineal and matriarchal tribes, and they have their own property, they are financially independent, and they often live independently of their husbands. They also have a unique tradition called the walking marriage, where women can go off into the hills and marry and smooch whomever they like. This book is fascinating to me, especially considering how patriarchal and traditional China can be. I love the photographs and the addition of the map in here. I think this book is really well published, so I'm looking forward to sinking my teeth into this next one. Oh boy, okay. It is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. Okay. I have been on the hold list for this book like 3 or 4 times, I swear. And each time there was a snowstorm or I just didn't get to it in time. Now it's here and I'm apprehensive. I don't like young adult books usually at all, but this book has been so popular and the premise sounds so good. I did actually start this on audiobook a couple of months ago. For whatever reason, the narrator and I just didn't get along. I didn't like the writing, but I feel like if I don't like this book, there is going to be a witch hunt for me. The hype is so real and the fear is paralyzing. Not to mention there are like 150 people waiting for this book in a queue, so I need to read it like now. Simon Savage's second big book weekender is coming up, and considering this book is a huge 444 pages, I think I'll read that and Brick Lane by Monica Ali then as well. Ask Me About My Uterus by Abby Norman is about her quest to be believed by doctors when she's ill. Norman loses 40 pounds, gets grey hair, can't get out of bed because of how much pain she's in, but still she's told it's just a urinary tract infection or purely all in her head, considering it takes women an average of 8 to 10 years to be diagnosed with endometriosis, which is what Norman has, and PCOS, which is what my wife has. This is a very important and validating book. I've had many similar struggles to Norman's, although I only ever had suspected diagnoses and managed most of my issues with birth control. Because of this, I think I might need to take a break while reading this book because it could be a very emotional read for me. I have heard great things on BookTube and just in general though, so it might be more readable than I expect. I might not finish this before it's due to go back, but I can always borrow it again. Last book. Oh my god, okay, we can do this. We got this. The last book I'd love to talk about today is So You Want to Talk About Race by Ijeoma Oluo. Oluo wrote a fantastic piece about Rachel Dolezal, who is white but identifies as black. I fell in love with Oluo's writing and have been anticipating this book ever since. This book deals with myths surrounding black culture, police brutality, and contemporary issues facing black Americans. I've seen so many screenshots of people's favorite passages of this book on Twitter, so the hype is real. It looks accessible, readable, and I can't wait. And before I go, I just wanted to talk about the Library-a-thon that takes place from the 3rd of June till the 9th of June. There are lots of hosts, and I'll link their channels down below, but I first heard about this readathon from Saeed's channel over at Books Are My Social Life. There are challenges, but I won't be focusing on them. I just want to enjoy my massive TBR of books. I want to go through at the end of the readathon and see how many challenges I've accidentally done. I feel like that'll be fun. Challenge 1 is borrow and read a book set in a country that you've never read a book set in before. 2 is borrow and read a book you've never heard of before. 3 is borrow and read a book that's out of your comfort zone, genre, age group, themes, etc. 4 is borrow and read a book that you've been meaning to read but haven't gotten around to yet. 5 is borrow and read a book recommended by a librarian or other library staff member. 6 is borrow and read a bookish book, book on the cover, book in the title, a book about books. There are also other challenges. You can take a photo of your library and put it on Instagram, you can donate books to your library, and you can make a video about libraries for your channel, which I hope to be doing. That's it, that's all for this library haul and TBR today. So many books. I'm overwhelmed, I'm excited, I'm probably gonna have to pay some fines. What are you reading at the moment? What are you looking forward to reading? Are you looking forward to reading anything from this massive pile? Let's talk in the comments below. Bye everyone!